Before we dive in, please remember that the information in this presentation is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional IT or business consulting, tailored to your company's specific needs and circumstances. Picture this. You're 2 years into your startup journey. You've survived on ramen, caffeine, and pure grit. You've finally hit product market fit. And then it happens. The email you've been dreaming of lands in your inbox. It's a Fortune 500 company. They love your product and they want to sign a 7-figure deal. There's just one catch. They need a specific critical new feature integrated into your platform, and they need it in 6 weeks. Your heart is pounding. This is it. This is the moment that turns your startup into a legacy. You pull your lead engineer into the conference room, buzzing with excitement. You lay out the plan, and then you watch as the color drains from their face. They look at you with a terror you've never seen before, and they say the words that every founder dreads. We can't. If we touch that part of the code, the whole system might collapse. That moment, that single gut-wrenching moment, is where thousands of promising American startups die. Not from a lack of funding, not from a bad idea, but from being strangled by their own success. They built a rocket ship, but they forgot to build a launch pad. They created what I call tech spaghetti, a tangled, chaotic, unmanageable mess of code, databases, and third-party services, where pulling on one noodle brings the whole plate crashing to the floor. And the silent killer behind this chaos, the reason that brilliant engineer was terrified, is the complete absence of something called enterprise architecture. Now I know what you're thinking. Enterprise architecture? Are you kidding me? That sounds like some boring bureaucratic nonsense from the very corporate giants I'm trying to disrupt. We're a startup. We move fast, we break things. We don't have time for 100-page documents and endless meetings. And you know what? You're half right. The old way of doing enterprise architecture, the slow, rigid, top-down approach, is absolutely toxic for a startup. It's a relic of a bygone era. But the core idea behind it, the principle of having a blueprint for your business, that's not a roadblock. That is your single greatest competitive advantage. This isn't about slowing down. This is about building a foundation that allows you to move faster and more safely than you ever thought possible. It's the difference between move fast and break things, and move fast and build things that last. So, what is enterprise architecture, in a way that actually matters to you, a founder trying to blitzscale in the most competitive market on earth? Forget the jargon. It's simply the practice of answering 4 fundamental questions, and making sure the answers all connect. Question 1. What does our business actually do? Not the features, not the code, but the core functions. We acquire customers. We process payments. We manage inventory. We deliver a service. This is your business architecture. It's the map of your value chain. Question 2. What critical information do we need to make that happen? Customer data, order history, product details, user credentials. This is your data architecture. It's the lifeblood of your company, and you need to know where it flows and how it's protected. Question 3. What software applications will we use to manage all that information and run our business? Are we building it ourselves with Python and React? Are we using Salesforce for CRM? Stripe for payments? This is your application architecture. It's your toolkit. And finally, question 4. Where is all this software going to live and run? Is it on Amazon Web Services? Google Cloud? Is it a serverless architecture? Are we using Kubernetes? This is your technology architecture. It's the physical, or in our case, the virtual foundation everything is built on. That's it. Business, data, applications, and technology. It's not a giant binder that sits on a shelf. It's a living, breathing blueprint. It's the GPS for your company that ensures the road your sales team is on actually connects to the highway your engineering team is building. Why does this matter? Why should you spend even one precious hour thinking about this when you could be coding or selling? Because when you have this blueprint, even a simple one sketched on a whiteboard, suddenly everything changes. That 7-figure deal doesn't become a moment of terror. It becomes a predictable project. You can look at your map and say, okay, this new feature impacts our payment processing function, which touches the customer order data, and it will require a change to our main application, which runs on AWS. You can estimate the time, the cost, and the risk with stunning accuracy. Investors see this. A venture capitalist isn't just investing in your idea. They're investing in your ability to execute and scale. When you can show them a clear, coherent architecture, you're not just selling them a dream. You're showing them a well-engineered machine built for growth. You're telling them that their money won't be wasted on a massive, year-long rewrite a year from now just to fix the tech spaghetti. It transforms your hiring. When you bring on a new engineer, you don't just throw them into a chaotic code base and wish them luck. You hand them the map. They can see how everything connects, where they fit in, and how to contribute value from week 1, not month 6. And most importantly, it gives you true agility, the ability to pivot. When your market shifts, you can look at your blueprint and make strategic decisions. Maybe you need to swap out one application for another. Maybe you need to add a whole new business capability. With a clear architecture, these are surgical operations. Without it, it's a blindfolded demolition. The reason that engineer was terrified in our story wasn't incompetence. It was the absence of a map. He was being asked to navigate a treacherous maze in the dark, knowing that one wrong turn could bring the whole thing down. Enterprise architecture is the act of turning on the lights. Over the next 9 parts of this series, we are going to give you that map. We're going to be your guide, breaking down each of those 4 areas: business, data, applications, and technology, into simple, actionable steps designed specifically for American startups. This isn't academic theory. This is a practical playbook, filled with tools, templates, and real-world examples to help you build a company that is not just fast, but resilient. A company built to win. So the question isn't, can you afford to spend time on enterprise architecture? The real question, the one that should keep you up at night, is, can you afford not to? Because that nightmare scenario, the big client, the impossible request, the fragile system, it's not a matter of if it will happen to a fast-growing startup. It's just a matter of when. So what does that when actually look like? It's 10 p.m. on a Tuesday. Your biggest client, the one you just celebrated landing, is launching their massive marketing campaign that depends on your platform, and everything grinds to a halt. The dashboards are frozen. The API is timing out. The Slack channels are a firestorm of red alerts and panicked messages. Your lead engineer, who hasn't slept in 36 hours, is telling you the customer database is locked in a battle with the analytics suite, and the billing system is somehow caught in the crossfire. You're pouring money into emergency cloud servers, but it's like trying to fill a bathtub with a thimble while the drain is wide open. You have no idea what's connected to what. You have no map. You're just pulling levers in the dark, hoping one of them stops the bleeding. This isn't a failure of code. It's not because you have bad developers. This is a failure of architecture. It's what happens when you build a collection of features instead of a cohesive system. It's what happens when you mistake motion for progress. And this is where we have to fundamentally redefine what enterprise architecture means for a startup. Forget the old-school image of corporate suits in a boardroom, debating for 6 months about a server rack. That's not what we're talking about. For a startup, enterprise architecture is not a department. It's a mindset. It's your strategic map for growth. Think of it this way. Imagine you're founding a new city. In the very beginning, when it's just a few tents and a campfire, you don't need a city planner. If someone wants to build a hut, they build a hut. Need a path to the river? You just walk there enough times and a path appears. Everything is simple, fast, and organic. This is your startup in the garage phase. It's beautiful chaos. But what happens when your settlement grows into a town? Suddenly, you can't just build huts anywhere. If you do, you'll block the road. You'll build on top of the only source of fresh water. You'll put the blacksmith's noisy workshop right next to the nursery. Pretty soon you have gridlock. The water gets contaminated. Nobody can get anywhere, and the whole town stops growing. Chokes on its own success. An enterprise architect is the city planner for your business. They don't lay every brick. They don't hammer every nail. The developers, the product managers, they're the builders. The architect is the one who steps back and says, "Hold on. Where are the roads going to go? Where will we put the electrical grid and the plumbing? What areas are for commerce, and what areas are for living?" They create the master plan so that the town can grow into a thriving metropolis without collapsing in on itself. Your startup's technology stack is that city. Every piece of software you use, every database, every API is a building or a piece of infrastructure. Without a plan, you get chaos. You get your CRM, your commercial district, built in a way that makes it impossible to build a highway to your financial system. You get your customer data, your fresh water supply, polluted because it's flowing through insecure, leaky pipes. So let's break down this city plan. In the world of enterprise architecture, this plan is typically divided into 4 key districts or domains. First, you have business architecture. This is the most important and often the most overlooked. This isn't about technology at all. This is the why of your city. What is its purpose? Is it a trading hub? A manufacturing center? A university town? For your startup, this is your core business strategy. What do you sell? Who do you sell it to? How do you make money? How do you deliver value? It's about mapping out your capabilities. We need the ability to market a product. We need the ability to process a payment. We need the ability to ship a box. Before you write a single line of code or buy a single subscription, you have to know what the business is actually trying to do. This is the blueprint for the city's soul. Second is data architecture. In our city, this is the infrastructure for its most valuable resource: information. It's the water mains, the power grid, the fiber optic cables. In your startup, your data is your gold. This domain asks the questions: what data is most critical to our survival? Customer information? Transaction records? User behavior? Where does this data live? How does it flow from one building, one application to another? Who is allowed to access it? How do we keep it clean, secure, and reliable? If your business architecture is the why, your data architecture is the what? The lifeblood that flows through the veins of your company. Third, we have application architecture. These are the actual buildings in your city. Your Salesforce instance is a skyscraper. The custom code your team wrote is a factory. Your QuickBooks subscription is the bank. This domain is concerned with how these individual applications work together. Are they built on a solid foundation? Do they have standard-sized doors and windows or APIs so they can connect to each other? Or is every building a completely different style? A bizarre architectural mess that requires a custom rickety bridge to be built every time you need to connect two systems? This is where you decide, do we buy a prefabricated building? Or do we build a custom one from scratch? The goal is a functional, beautiful skyline, not a chaotic shantytown. Finally, there's technology architecture. This is the literal foundation of the city. It's the bedrock, the concrete, the steel girders everything is built on. For your startup, this is your cloud provider: Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure. It's your network infrastructure, your servers, your security protocols. It's the fundamental technology choices that will either support your massive growth or crumble under the pressure. You don't see it every day, but if it fails, the entire city comes down. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds massive. This sounds like something for General Motors, not for my 5-person startup trying to find product market fit. And that is the single biggest misconception. Thinking about these 4 domains isn't about creating 100-page documents and endless review meetings. It's about making conscious choices. It's about taking 10 minutes to whiteboard how customer data will flow before you sign a contract for a new marketing tool. It's about agreeing on a common way to build and connect applications before your 2 developers go off and build 2 completely incompatible systems. It's about choosing a technology foundation that you know can handle 10 times your current traffic, not just what you have today. This isn't about slowing down. It's about eliminating rework. Rework is the silent killer of startups. It's the time you spend rewriting a feature because the first version couldn't scale. It's the money you waste on 2 different pieces of software that do the same thing. It's the 6 months you lose trying to untangle a spaghetti mess of code just to add one simple new feature. Enterprise architecture is the ultimate measure twice, cut once philosophy. A little bit of planning up front saves you from catastrophic delays and costs down the road. It's also about building confidence not just for you but for your investors. When you walk into a venture capital pitch and they ask you, how will this scale? You can do one of 2 things. You can say, we'll hire more engineers and buy bigger servers. Or you can show them you have a plan. You can say, we've structured our business, data, and application landscapes to be modular. Our core services are built on a scalable tech stack that can handle a 100-fold increase in users with predictable costs. We know exactly how we'll add new product lines without breaking our existing system. Which founder do you think is getting the check? So the question isn't whether you're big enough for enterprise architecture. The question is, do you plan on getting big? Because if you do, the choices you make today are laying the foundation for that future. You are, right now, either building the launchpad for a rocket ship or a house of cards on a shaky foundation. So the city plan makes sense. You need a blueprint for your business, your data, your apps, and your tech. But you're not starting with an empty field. You've already got a few buildings up. You've got some dirt path. You've probably made a few mistakes already. Where on earth do you even begin? How do you start applying this without derailing everything you're already doing? That's the million-dollar question. And it's exactly what we're going to break down next. The answer is simpler, less expensive, and far less terrifying than you think. You don't begin by clearing your calendar for a 6-month architecture review. You don't start by hiring a team of consultants who charge $400 an hour to produce diagrams nobody understands. And you absolutely do not start by buying some complicated, enterprise-grade software suite that promises to solve all your problems. You start with a question. A single powerful question that cuts through all the noise. You sit down with your co-founders, your lead engineer, maybe your head of sales, whoever truly understands the soul of your business, and you ask this. What is the one single most critical promise we make to our customers? And what technology right now is absolutely essential to keeping that promise? Forget everything else. Forget the fancy features on your roadmap. Forget the nice-to-have integrations. Forget the marketing site. Boil it down to the absolute core transaction, the heartbeat of your company. For a SaaS company, that promise might be, our software will save you 10 hours of manual work a week. For an e-commerce brand, it's, you will get this high-quality product delivered to your door in 2 days. For a fintech startup, it's, your money will be transferred securely and instantly. That's your starting point, not a 100-page document. It's a single sentence that defines your value. Now let's look at the tech that delivers on that promise. This is where we create what I call the napkin sketch architecture. I mean this literally. Grab a pen, find a napkin or a whiteboard. We're not building a perfect to scale blueprint of a skyscraper. We're drawing a map of a single room, the most important room in the house. Let's take an example we can all understand. Imagine you're a startup that sells custom printed t-shirts online. Your promise is, design a unique shirt and get it fast. What has to happen for that promise to be kept? First, a customer has to upload a design to your website. So box number 1, website. Second, that order with the design and the customer's address has to get to your printing partner. Box number 2, printing partner. Third, you need to get paid. Box number 3, payment processor, like Stripe or PayPal. And fourth, the customer needs to know their shirt is on the way. Box number 4, shipping notification system, which might just be an email service. Draw those 4 boxes on your napkin. Now draw arrows between them. An arrow from the website to the payment processor. An arrow from the website to the printing partner. An arrow from the printing partner to the shipping notifier. Congratulations! You just created your first enterprise architecture artifact. It looks laughably simple, right? But this napkin sketch is the seed of everything. Because now we can start asking the right questions. We can start applying the fundamental domains of enterprise architecture in a way that actually makes sense for a startup. Think of it like this. There are 4 basic lenses to look at your business through. The first lens is business architecture. That's just a fancy way of saying, what do we actually do and how do we make money? On our napkin sketch, it's the whole process. It's the flow, customer designs, pays, we print, we ship. It's your value chain. You've already defined it. The second lens is data architecture. This sounds intimidating, but it's just asking, what is the critical information we need, and where does it live? For our t-shirt company, the critical data is the customer's design file, their shipping address, and their payment status. Where does that data live right now? Maybe the design file is saved on a server, the shipping address is in a Shopify database, and the payment status is over at Stripe. The arrow you drew from the website to the printing partner? That arrow represents data flowing. Is that flow automated? Or is your co-founder, Chad, manually downloading a zip file of designs every night and emailing it to the printer? Be honest. The napkin sketch doesn't judge. It just reveals the truth. The third lens is application architecture. This is the what software are we using part. It's the actual tools that power your business. Your website box is probably a collection of applications. Maybe it's a Shopify store with a special t-shirt design plugin, and it's connected to MailChimp for emails. Your payment processor is the Stripe application. Your printing partner might have their own software portal you have to log into. You're simply mapping the real-world software you use to the conceptual boxes on your napkin. You start to see how these different apps either talk to each other, or where the gaps are. The gap where Chad spends 2 hours every night being the human API between your website and your printer. Finally, the fourth lens is technology architecture. This is the foundation. The what does it all run on part. Where is your Shopify store hosted? It's in the cloud on their servers. Where are you storing those big design files? Maybe you're using Amazon S3. What laptop is Chad working from when he's emailing those files? That laptop is, for better or worse, part of your current technology architecture. It's the hardware, the networks, the cloud services, the plumbing that makes everything else possible. Do you see what we did? We took this massive academic concept of enterprise architecture and applied it to a simple napkin sketch. We didn't need a certification. We just needed to be honest about how our business actually works. And this is where the magic happens. You take your first napkin sketch, which shows how things are working today, warts and all. We call this the current state architecture. This is your map of reality. It shows Chad as the human glue. It shows that you have customer data in 3 different places that don't sync up. It shows that if your one design plugin crashes, your entire business goes down. This isn't a moment for panic. It's a moment of clarity. For the first time, you have a single picture of your entire core operation. You can see the risks. You can see the bottlenecks. You can see the technical debt you've been racking up. Now take out a fresh napkin. On this new napkin, you're going to draw the future state. But here's the startup rule. Your future state is not 5 years from now. It's not even 1 year from now. Your future state is what you need your business to look like in the next 6 months to hit your goals. Maybe your goal is to triple your t-shirt orders. Looking at your current state map, you know with absolute certainty that Chad cannot manually process 3 times the orders. He'll quit, have a breakdown, or both. The bottleneck is obvious. So on your future state napkin, you redraw the diagram. But this time, the arrow from the website to the printing partner is a solid, black, automated line. You write a little note next to it. Automated Order API. That's it. That's the goal. You haven't changed anything else. You're not replatforming your entire website or switching payment processors. You've identified the single most important change you need to make to enable growth. You've just created a strategic roadmap. This simple 2-napkin exercise is the most valuable high-leverage thing you can do for your startup in its early stages. It forces you to connect your business goals, triple our orders, directly to a specific technology initiative, automate the order process. It stops you from wasting money on shiny objects and focuses your limited resources on the one thing that will actually move the needle. So your very first step is not to architect the future. It's to honestly and brutally document the present. Get your team in a room for 1 hour. Draw your current state napkin sketch. Map out how your core promise is really being fulfilled today. Identify the manual steps, the spreadsheets, the places where a single person is the single point of failure. Because once you have that honest map of where you are, you can finally have a real conversation about where you need to go. You can stop guessing. You can stop putting out fires. You can start building a machine that's designed for growth, not one that's constantly on the verge of collapse. But this raises the next critical question. Your map will show you 5, maybe 10 different problems, 10 different bottlenecks. How do you know which one to fix first? How do you prioritize when everything feels like an emergency? Choosing the right first move is the difference between unlocking momentum and getting bogged down in a project that drains your cash and kills your morale. And that is the secret we're unlocking next. So what is that first move? What's the secret to getting started when your tech stack feels like a tangled ball of Christmas lights you just pulled out of the attic? Most startups get this wrong. They do one of 2 things. Either they jump straight to the dream state, spending weeks designing a perfect, futuristic architecture that looks amazing on a whiteboard, but has zero connection to the messy reality of their business today. It's like designing a penthouse for a skyscraper before you've even surveyed the land. The other mistake is what I call tool shopping. The thinking goes, our process is a mess, so let's buy a new expensive piece of software to fix it. This is like trying to fix a leaky pipe by buying a gold-plated faucet. You're not addressing the root cause. You're just adding another expensive, complicated component to an already broken system. The real first move, the secret, is brutally simple and profoundly powerful. You don't look forward. You look down. You don't design the future. You map the present. The single most valuable high-impact first step in enterprise architecture for a growing American startup is to create what we call an as-is blueprint. Or to put it more bluntly, you need to draw a map of your own chaos. I know. That sounds boring. Sounds like documentation. It sounds like the opposite of the fast-moving break-things culture that defines a startup. But hear me out. This isn't about creating a 100-page binder that gathers dust on a shelf. This is an intelligence-gathering mission. It's about creating a 1-page situation room map that shows you exactly where your business is bleeding money, where your biggest risks are hiding in plain sight, and where the secret opportunities for growth are buried. Think about it. You would never try to navigate a cross-country road trip without a map of the existing roads. You wouldn't just point your car west and hope for the best. Yet, that's exactly what most startups do with their technology. They keep adding new apps, new tools, new integrations, and new processes without ever stepping back to see the whole system, the whole network of roads they've built. And then they wonder why they're always stuck in traffic, why every new project feels like a massive detour, and why they're burning so much fuel just to stay in the same place. Creating this reality map does three critical things. First, it forces you to confront the truth. It's the business equivalent of turning on the lights in a messy garage. Suddenly, you see everything. You see the 3 different project management tools your teams are using, each with its own subscription fee. You see the critical customer data that's being manually copied and pasted from a spreadsheet into your CRM every single day, creating a massive bottleneck and a huge risk for human error. You see that your entire billing process relies on one person, and if she goes on vacation, your cash flow grinds to a halt. This clarity is terrifying, but it's also liberating. You can't fix a problem you can't see. Second, it immediately reveals low-hanging fruit for cost savings. I worked with a fintech startup in Austin that was growing like crazy. They felt like they were hemorrhaging money on software. We spent one afternoon mapping their as-is architecture on a whiteboard. Within 2 hours, we identified 17 different software-as-a-service subscriptions. Of those, 6 were completely redundant. They were paying for 2 different social media schedulers, 2 different cloud storage solutions with overlapping features, and 2 different analytics platforms that basically did the same thing. Worse, they found 4 active subscriptions for employees who had left the company 6 months earlier. Just by creating this simple map, they identified over $60,000 in annual savings. That's 60 grand they could pour back into marketing, hiring engineers, or product development. That's the power of mapping your chaos. Third, and most importantly, it gives you a stable foundation to build upon. Any conversation about the future state is pure fantasy until you understand the current state. Your map of the present tells you what's working, what's broken, and what's essential. It shows you the load-bearing walls of your business. If you try to build your future without this knowledge, you're almost guaranteed to build something that will collapse under its own weight the moment you try to scale. So how do you actually do this? You don't need fancy software. You need a whiteboard, a pack of sticky notes, or a free account on a tool like Miro or Lucidchart. And you need to answer 3 basic questions. Question 1. What are our core business processes? Don't think in tech terms. Think in business terms. How do we attract a lead? How do we convert that lead into a customer? How do we onboard that customer? How do we deliver our product or service? How do we build them? How do we support them when they have a problem? List out these key stages of your customer's journey. This is your starting point. Question 2. What applications and tools do we use for each process? Now you get into the tech. For that attract a lead process, maybe you use HubSpot for marketing automation, Google Analytics for tracking, and a tool like Ahrefs for SEO. Write them all down. Be exhaustive. This is where you uncover the shadow IT, the tools that employees are using that you don't even know about. The best way to do this is to just ask your team, what tabs do you have open right now to do your job? The answers will surprise you. Question 3. How does the data flow? This is the most critical part. You need to draw the lines between the boxes. When a lead fills out a form on your website via HubSpot, where does that data go? Does it automatically sync to your Salesforce CRM? Or does someone have to manually export a CSV file and upload it? When a customer pays an invoice through Stripe, does that information automatically update in your QuickBooks accounting software? Or does your finance person have to re-enter it by hand? Follow the journey of your most important piece of data, your customer. Trace its path from the very first touchpoint all the way through to a paid invoice and a support ticket. What you will end up with is a diagram that will likely look like a plate of spaghetti. It will be messy, complicated, and probably a little embarrassing. Congratulations! You've just created the most valuable strategic document your startup has. This isn't just a technical diagram. It's a business X-ray. Each manual data transfer is a potential point of failure and a source of wasted payroll. Each redundant application is a leaky faucet dripping cash. Each process that relies on a single person's tribal knowledge is a ticking time bomb. This map of the as-is gives you the power to stop firefighting and start strategizing. Instead of guessing where the problems are, you can see them. You can circle the most tangled, inefficient part of your map and say, This is what we fix first. This is where we will get the biggest return on our investment. You are no longer flying blind. You have a map of the territory. It might show mountains and swamps you didn't know you had, but now you can plan a route around them. And with this map of your current reality in hand, you are finally ready to ask the most exciting question of all. Now that we know exactly where we are, where in the world do we want to go? Having this honest, ugly map of your present-day operations is the prerequisite for designing a clean, scalable, and powerful architecture for your future. It turns an impossible, abstract problem into a concrete, solvable puzzle. Now that you have the X-ray showing all the broken bones, how do you design the cast that will not only heal them but make them stronger than before? How do you move from mapping the chaos to architecting for clarity and world-class performance? That blueprint for your future is what we're drawing up next. And that blueprint isn't some abstract fantasy. It's a concrete, actionable plan for building a business that can withstand hurricanes and scale to the moon. This is where we stop being archaeologists digging through the ruins of our past decisions and start being architects of our future empire. So how do the pros do it? How do companies like Netflix or Amazon design systems that can handle millions of users, seemingly without breaking a sweat? They don't just wing it. They use a playbook. In the world of enterprise architecture, these playbooks are called frameworks. Now don't let the word framework scare you. It sounds like something you'd find in a dusty corporate library. Forget that. Think of it as a GPS for your business. You wouldn't drive from New York to Los Angeles without a map or a GPS, right? You'd end up lost in a cornfield in Nebraska. A framework is the GPS that guides your technology decisions, ensuring every dollar you spend and every line of code you write takes you closer to your destination market domination. There are several frameworks out there, with names like TOGAF or the Zachman framework. We're not going to get lost in the academic details. For a US startup, the key isn't to become a certified expert in any single framework. The key is to steal the single most powerful idea they all share: the concept of layers or domains. Imagine you're designing a skyscraper. You don't just start pouring concrete. You have different blueprints for different aspects: the foundational plan, the electrical plan, the plumbing plan, the structural plan. Enterprise architecture does the exact same thing for your business, but it breaks it down into 4 critical layers. Get these 4 layers right, and you've built a foundation for exponential growth. Get them wrong, and you're building on sand. The first and most important layer is the business architecture. This is the why. Why does your company even exist? What are you trying to achieve? This isn't about servers or software. It's about strategy. It's about mapping your core business capabilities, the things you absolutely must be good at to win. For Uber, a core capability is matching riders with drivers. For Domino's, it's fast pizza delivery. So, for your startup, what are those things? Is it processing claims instantly? Is it providing personalized recommendations? Is it managing complex supply chains? You need to define these capabilities with ruthless clarity. Then you ask the billion-dollar question: what does our 5-year from now version of the company look like? What new capabilities will we need? Do we need to expand into international markets? Do we need to launch a new subscription service? The business architecture blueprint connects your CEO's vision directly to the technology you're about to build. Every single tech decision you make from this point forward must serve one of these defined business capabilities. If it doesn't, you don't do it. Period. This layer is your North Star. It prevents you from chasing shiny new technologies that don't actually help you win the game. Once you know why you're building, you move to the second layer, the data architecture. This is the what. What information, what data is the lifeblood of your business? If your business architecture is the brain, your data architecture is the central nervous system. It's the flow of information that makes everything work. You need to answer critical questions. What are our key data entities? Is it customers? Orders? Products? Transactions? Where does this data come from? Where does it need to go? Who is allowed to see it? How do we ensure it's accurate and secure? Think about it. A company like American Express lives and dies by the quality and security of its transaction data. A healthcare startup's most valuable asset is its patient data. Your future state data architecture is about designing the flow of this lifeblood for the company you want to become. Right now, your customer data might live in 3 different spreadsheets in a CRM you hate. Your future state blueprint might show a single unified Customer 360 database that powers everything from marketing to support. You're designing the reservoirs, the pipelines, and the purification plants for your company's most critical resource. A failure here isn't just a technical problem. It's a catastrophic business failure waiting to happen. With the why and the what defined, we can finally talk about the how. This is the third layer, the application architecture. These are the systems, the software, the applications that actually do the work. They are the engines that use the data to execute the business capabilities. In your current state, this is probably a chaotic mix. You might have an off-the-shelf e-commerce platform, a custom-built inventory tool, QuickBooks for finance, and a dozen other SaaS tools held together with digital duct tape. The application architecture blueprint asks, for the future we've envisioned, is this the right set of tools? This is where you make game-changing decisions. Do we continue to buy off-the-shelf software? Or do we need to build a custom application to create a real competitive advantage? Should our applications be monolithic, one giant piece of code? Or should we move to microservices, where each business capability has its own small, independent application? This is a huge decision for a scaling startup. Microservices can give you incredible speed and flexibility, allowing different teams to work independently, but they also add complexity. Your blueprint here might show a plan to decommission 3 legacy applications and replace them with a single modern platform. It might map out how your CRM, your marketing automation tool, and your sales platform will seamlessly share data through well-defined APIs, instead of manual exports and imports. You're designing a fleet of highly specialized, coordinated vehicles, each perfectly suited for its task, all driving in the same direction. Finally, we have the fourth layer, the foundation upon which everything else is built, the technology architecture. This is the where. Where does all this stuff actually run? This is the hardware, the servers, the cloud services, the networks, the concrete and steel of your digital skyscraper. Your current state might be a single server running in a closet or a basic setup on Amazon Web Services. But what does the 5-year from now version of your company need? As you scale from 1,000 to 1 million users, your infrastructure needs will change dramatically. The technology architecture blueprint answers these questions. Which cloud provider is right for us? AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. What's our strategy for security, for disaster recovery? If our main data center goes down, what happens? How do we design our network to be fast and resilient? How do we use technologies like containers and Kubernetes to deploy new code faster and more reliably? This layer is about making sure the foundation can handle the weight of your ambition. You wouldn't build a 100-story skyscraper on a foundation designed for a 2-bedroom house. Similarly, you can't build a billion-dollar company on infrastructure that was designed for a side hustle. This blueprint ensures your technology foundation is an enabler of growth, not a bottleneck. So there they are, the 4 layers of your future: business, data, application, and technology. The why, the what, the how, and the where. It's a powerful logical cascade. Your business goals dictate the data you need. The data you need dictates the applications you build. And the applications you build dictate the technology infrastructure required to run them. By designing your future state in this top-down manner, you create a powerful chain of logic. You can now point to any server, any database, any piece of software and trace its existence all the way back to a specific strategic business goal. That's alignment. That's power. That's how you stop wasting money on tech that doesn't matter and start building a lean, mean, scalable machine. This blueprint is your declaration of intent. It's the detailed, ambitious, and exciting vision of your company's future. But a blueprint is just a piece of paper until the construction crews show up. How do you turn this beautiful, multi-layered vision into a reality? How do you bridge the gap between the chaotic mess you have today and the world-class architecture you've just designed? That journey, the roadmap from here to there, is the most critical part of the entire process. And it's a journey that can feel absolutely paralyzing. You're standing on one side of a canyon. On this side, it's the as-is, a tangled web of legacy code, quick fixes, and systems that were brilliant for 5 employees, but are now groaning under the weight of 500 customers. And way over on the other side is the to-be, that gleaming, beautiful, scalable architecture you just designed. The chasm between them looks a mile wide and a mile deep. The question that keeps every founder and CTO up at night is, how do we build the bridge without falling into the abyss? This isn't about waving a magic wand. This is about creating a strategic, sequenced implementation plan. A roadmap. Think of it like planning a cross-country road trip from the messy, crowded streets of New York City to the sunny, wide-open boulevards of Los Angeles. You don't just get in the car and start driving west. You pull out a map. You decide your route. You plan your stops. You figure out what you need to pack. The very first step is the most brutally honest one. You need to perform a gap analysis. Before you can get directions, Google Maps needs to know your exact starting location. You have to pinpoint with zero ego and 100% clarity exactly where you are today. This means documenting your current state architecture. Not the one you wish you had, not the one you describe to investors, but the real one. The one with that weird server under someone's desk that runs a critical script. The one with the database that everyone is terrified to touch. You list out every application, every piece of infrastructure, every data store, and every integration, warts and all. Then, you place that map of your current reality right next to the blueprint of your target architecture. And you go through it line by line, system by system, and you identify every single delta, every gap. The output of this isn't a feeling of despair. It's a concrete list. We need to replace our monolithic backend with 3 core microservices. We need to migrate from our on-premise servers to a multi-region cloud provider. We need to decommission this old CRM and implement a new one. We need to build a real API gateway instead of letting everyone hit our database directly. This list of gaps is your master to-do list for the entire transformation. It's no longer a vague, scary monster. It's a series of defined problems waiting for solutions. Now you have your list. It might have 50, maybe 100 items on it. The temptation is to just start grabbing the easy ones, or the ones that seem most exciting. This is a fatal mistake. The second, and arguably most important step is sequencing and dependency mapping. Imagine building a house. You don't start by painting the bedroom walls. You have to pour the foundation first. Then you erect the frame. Then the roof, then the walls, then the electrical and plumbing. There is a natural physical order of operations. The same is true for your architecture. Building that new microservices platform might be the exciting part, but it's completely dependent on having the cloud infrastructure provisioned and the container orchestration system, like Kubernetes, set up and configured first. Migrating your customer data is pointless until the new scalable database is built, secured, and tested. You have to map these dependencies. Think of it like a giant game of Jenga. If you pull out the wrong block at the wrong time, the whole tower comes crashing down. You need to identify the foundational projects, the ones that unlock everything else, and prioritize them. This sequencing exercise transforms your giant, chaotic to-do list into an ordered, logical plan of attack. It tells you not just what to do, but in what order you must do it. This leads us to one of the most powerful concepts in enterprise architecture, and one that startups desperately need to embrace: the transition architecture. Going back to our road trip analogy, you don't drive from New York to LA in a single 45-hour sleepless marathon. That's a recipe for disaster. Instead, you plan to stop in Chicago, maybe Denver. Each of those cities is a planned, stable, and valuable stop on your journey. You can rest, refuel, and enjoy the city before continuing. A transition architecture is exactly that, a planned stop. It's an intermediate, stable version of your system that is better than what you have today, and is a concrete step towards your final vision. Instead of a big bang release where you try to change everything at once over a terrifying weekend, you plan a series of smaller, manageable releases. Let's say your goal is to break up a giant monolithic application into 10 microservices. A big bang approach would be to spend a year building all 10 services in secret, and then one day flip a switch and pray it all works. We all know how that story ends. The smart approach, the transition architecture approach, is to first peel off just one piece of functionality. Let's say user authentication. You build the new authentication microservice. You get it running. You slowly redirect traffic from the old monolith's login system to the new service. You test it, you stabilize it. Now you have a new state. A hybrid system with a monolith and one microservice. This is your Chicago. It's a stable, working architecture that has reduced some of your technical debt and proven the new pattern works. It delivers real value. Then you plan your next stop, Denver, by peeling off the next service like the product catalog. Each transition architecture is a milestone. It delivers incremental value to the business, reduces risk, allows the team to learn and adapt, and builds momentum and confidence. You're not trying to cross the canyon in one giant leap. You're building the bridge one solid section at a time. Finally, with your gaps identified, your sequence determined, and your transition states planned, you can create work packages. This is where the 10,000-foot strategy meets the ground-level reality of getting work done. A work package is a discrete, manageable chunk of work that moves you from one state to the next. It's not a vague idea. It's a defined project. Using our example, the work package to get you to your Chicago transition state might be called Project Chimera, User Authentication Service. This project would have a clear scope: build, test, and deploy the new authentication microservice and migrate 100% of login traffic. It would have a budget, a timeline, and a dedicated team. It's a self-contained unit of change. The next work package might be Project Atlas, Product Catalog Service. By breaking the massive roadmap into these defined work packages, you make the entire effort manageable. It's no longer a terrifying multi-year journey. It's a series of achievable 3-month projects. This allows for proper resource planning, for clear accountability, and for celebrating wins along the way. It's how you translate a beautiful architectural diagram into actual lines of code, shipped features, and a stronger, more scalable business. So now you have the map. You know where you are, you know where you're going, and you've broken the journey into a series of manageable drives between major cities. You've packed your bags by creating clear work packages. But what happens when you hit a roadblock or a massive traffic jam? How do you ensure that all the different drivers on your team are following the same map and not deciding to take their own scenic routes that lead to a dead end? How do you govern the journey itself? That process of steering, of making course corrections, and ensuring everyone stays on the right road, that is the critical discipline of architectural governance. And let's be honest, that word governance, it lands with a thud, doesn't it? Sounds like bureaucracy. It smells like TPS reports and endless meetings. For a fast-moving American startup, governance sounds like the enemy of progress. It feels like a speed bump, deliberately installed on the highway to innovation. But this is one of the most dangerously misunderstood concepts in the entire field. Because real effective architectural governance isn't a speed bump. It's the guardrail that lets you take the corners at full speed without flying off the cliff. Think about it. A Formula One car is a marvel of engineering, built for pure, unadulterated speed. But it's also governed by thousands of rules. Rules about engine size, aerodynamics, weight, safety features. Do these rules make the car slower? No. They create a framework within which teams can innovate at the absolute edge of physics, safely and competitively. Without those rules, you don't have a race, you have a demolition derby. Architectural governance is the set of rules for your company's race. It's not about slowing people down. It's about channeling their incredible energy in a direction that wins. So how do we build these guardrails without paving over the whole landscape with concrete? It comes down to a few core lightweight components. First, you need architectural principles. These are not technical specifications. They are your company's belief system for technology, written in plain English. They are the high-level, guiding stars that every single technical decision should align with. A great principle is short, clear, and has a clear business rationale. For example, we buy before we build. The rationale: our core business is selling our product, not building internal accounting software. By buying off-the-shelf solutions for non-core functions, we focus our expensive engineering talent on what actually makes us money. Another one: cloud native first. Rationale: we need to scale on demand, minimize operational overhead, and leverage managed services to move faster. Or how about, data is a strategic asset. Rationale: every decision we make, from product features to marketing campaigns, will be informed by data. So we must treat its quality, security, and accessibility as a top priority. You don't need 50 of these. A startup can thrive with 5 to 7 really solid principles. They become a shared language. When two engineers are debating a solution, they don't just argue about personal preference. They can ask, which approach better aligns with our cloud-native first principle? It elevates the conversation from my favorite tool to what's right for the business. The second component is standards. If principles are the why, standards are the what. This is where the rubber meets the road. Standards are the specific technologies, platforms, and tools that you have officially chosen to support. We use Amazon Web Services as our cloud provider. We write back-end services in Go. We use PostgreSQL for relational data. We use React for our front end. The knee-jerk reaction from many developers is, "You're stifling my creativity. You're telling me what to use." And the answer is yes. And that's a good thing. Imagine hiring a new developer. Without standards, their first month is spent just figuring out the chaotic landscape of 20 different databases and 12 different programming languages used across the company. With standards, they can look at a short, curated list and know, okay, this is the toolkit. I can be productive on day one. Standards create what we call a paved road. It's the easiest, fastest, best supported path for a developer to get their job done. They can use our standard infrastructure as code templates, our standard monitoring dashboards, and get help from dozens of other engineers who know the stack inside and out. It creates economies of scale, not just in cost, but in knowledge. You're concentrating your collective brainpower on getting really good at a few things instead of being mediocre at everything. Now, does this mean no one can ever go off-road? Of course not. Sometimes the paved road doesn't go where you need to go. That's where the third and most feared component comes in, the review and dispensation process. Most people call this the Architecture Review Board, or ARB. And in big, slow companies, this can be a nightmare. A committee of no that meets once a quarter to kill innovative ideas. But for a startup, it shouldn't be a board at all. It might just be the CTO and a lead engineer. The point isn't the ceremony, it's the function. The function is to provide expert guidance and to manage technical risk for the entire company. The primary job of this review function isn't to approve or deny, it's to ask good questions. A team comes forward and says, "We want to build a new feature using this brand new graph database that isn't one of our standards." The review function doesn't just say no. They ask, why? What capability does this give us that our standard PostgreSQL database can't? Have you considered the operational cost of running this? Who is going to support it when it breaks at 3 a.m.? How will we secure it? What's our exit strategy if this technology doesn't work out? It's a collaborative process. It forces the team to think through the full life cycle of their decision, not just the exciting build phase. And sometimes, after that conversation, the team themselves will realize the standard tool is good enough. Other times, everyone will agree that the new technology is a worthwhile risk. The business benefit is so huge that it justifies the cost of straying from the paved road. And that's called a dispensation, a formal, documented exception to the standard. You don't just let the team go rogue. You document it. We, the undersigned, approve the use of Neo4j for the recommendation engine project for 1 year. The success criteria are X, and we will reevaluate then. The known risks are Y and Z. This isn't bureaucracy. This is professional risk management. It allows you to experiment and innovate, but to do so with your eyes wide open. The key to making all this work in a startup culture is automation. Governance shouldn't be a person with a clipboard. It should be code. Are your standards captured in infrastructure as code templates that people can deploy in minutes? Do your CI/CD pipelines automatically scan for security vulnerabilities or non-compliant library versions? Can you automatically generate a diagram of your cloud architecture to see if it matches the design? By baking your governance into the tools developers already use, you make the right way the easy way. Compliance becomes the path of least resistance, not an extra chore. It transforms governance from a restrictive force to an enabling one. It's what allows you to give teams incredible autonomy. You don't have to micromanage their every move, because you know they're operating within safe, well-understood guardrails. Ultimately, this lean, automated approach to governance is what separates the startups that successfully scale from those that crumble under their own weight. The ones that fail are the ones that confuse chaos with speed. They build a technical Tower of Babel, where every team speaks a different language, uses different tools, and solves the same problems over and over again. The ones that succeed build a system. They understand that a little bit of structure, a few common sense rules of the road, and a culture of thoughtful decision-making isn't a brake pedal. It's a finely tuned suspension system that lets you go faster over rougher terrain than you ever thought possible. It's the discipline that unlocks true, sustainable velocity. So you've established your principles. You've defined your initial standards. But that list of standards, it's a living, breathing thing. The technology landscape changes in the blink of an eye. How do you decide which new tools and technologies to adopt? How do you create a rational, repeatable process for evaluating the shiny new objects that vendors and developers are constantly throwing your way? That process of technology lifecycle management is the engine room of a modern enterprise architecture. It's the siren song of the modern startup. A new JavaScript framework that promises a perfect lighthouse score. A new serverless database that scales to infinity for pennies. A new AI-powered coding assistant that practically writes the application for you. Your engineers see it on Hacker News, they get excited, and suddenly, your carefully planned product roadmap is being held hostage by a cool new technology that might, just might, be the silver bullet you've been looking for. This is the shiny object syndrome, and it is one of the most insidious and effective startup killers out there. It's not a technical problem. It's a psychological one, fueled by a fear of missing out, and the very real pressure to innovate faster than your competition. Without a system, you're just guessing. You're gambling your most precious resources, your team's time and focus, on a hunch. One quarter, you're rebuilding the front end in Svelte. The next, you're migrating your data to a new graph database because a thought leader on Twitter said it was the future. This churn isn't just inefficient, it's demoralizing. It creates a codebase that's a museum of abandoned experiments. It burns out your best people, and it slows your actual delivery of customer value to a crawl. The solution isn't to lock down all innovation and ban new technology. That's a different kind of death sentence. The solution is to build a rational, predictable, and lightweight process for managing the life cycle of technology within your company. Think of it like a technology radar, a concept popularized by the company ThoughtWorks. On this radar, technologies aren't just good or bad. They exist in different states of maturity relative to your business. Let's break down the 4 essential rings of this radar. Assess, trial, adopt, and retire. First up is the assess ring. This is the outermost edge of your radar. These are the blips, the whispers in the wind. This is where you put that brand new database or that intriguing AI framework you just heard about. The key rule for the assess ring is simple. Look but don't touch. The goal here is pure, low-effort intelligence gathering. Your team should be encouraged to spend a small fraction of their time, think a couple of hours a month, on this. What does that look like? It means reading the documentation, watching the conference talk from the creators, skimming a few blog posts about early adoption stories. You are trying to answer a few basic questions. What problem does this technology claim to solve? Is that a problem we actually have, or one we anticipate having soon? What's the initial smell test? Is it backed by a reputable company or community? Is the documentation clear? Does it seem overly complex for our needs? The output of the assess phase isn't a 50-page report. It's a gut check. It's a 1-paragraph summary in a shared document. It's a quick chat in a Slack channel. The vast majority of technologies you assess will never move closer to the center of your radar, and that's the whole point. You've spent a minimal amount of energy to filter out 95% of the noise, allowing you to focus on the few technologies that seem genuinely promising for your specific context. Now, let's say a technology passes that initial smell test. It looks like it could solve a real nagging problem you're facing. For example, maybe your current data visualization library is slow and clunky, and a new one in the assess ring seems dramatically better. It's time to move it to the next ring, trial. The trial phase is where the rubber meets the road, but in a very controlled way. This is not about rewriting a major feature. It's about running a cheap, fast, and safe experiment. The watchword here is isolation. You need to build a sandbox. Can you use this new visualization library on an internal dashboard that isn't customer-facing? Can you build a small, non-critical proof of concept that's completely separate from your main production code base? Before you write a single line of code for a trial, you must define the victory conditions. What does success look like? Is it the charts render 50% faster? Is it a junior developer can build a new dashboard in under a day? Is it reduces our bundle size by 200 kilobytes? Write it down. Be specific and be ruthless. You also need to timebox the trial. This experiment gets 1 engineer for 1 week. Period. At the end of that week, you either hit your success metrics or you didn't. If you did, great. You have real data to justify further investment. If you didn't, that's also a success. You just spent 1 week and saved yourself from a disastrous 6-month migration based on a hunch. The trial phase is about converting hype into data. So your trial was a smashing success. The new technology delivered on its promises. Everyone who used it loved it. Now what? Now, you can consider moving it to the most important, most central ring of the radar, adopt. This is the ring of commitment. A technology in the adopt ring is a standard. It is the official, blessed, paved road for solving a particular problem at your company. If a developer needs to build a new front-end feature, they use the framework in the adopt ring. If they need to provision a database, they use the one in the adopt ring. This is a big deal. Making something an adopted standard means you are committing to supporting it. You're committing to training people on it, writing documentation for it, creating best practices, and building tooling around it. This is why you can't have 50 things in your adopt ring. For a startup, this ring should be brutally small and focused. You should have one preferred front-end framework, one preferred cloud provider, one preferred way of doing authentication. Why? Because standardization is a force multiplier for speed. When everyone is using the same tools, they speak the same language. Onboarding new hires is faster. Code reviews are easier. Collaboration is smoother. You're no longer wasting cycles relitigating basic architectural choices on every new project. You've made the decision, you've documented it, and now you can focus on building. Moving a technology to adopt is a strategic business decision, not just a technical one. It requires buy-in, and it forms the bedrock of your architecture. But the life cycle doesn't end there. There's one final ring, and it's the one most companies ignore at their peril: the retire ring. Technologies, like all things, have a lifespan. That amazing framework you adopted 3 years ago might now be unmaintained. That database that served you well at 10,000 users might be falling over at 10 million. A technology enters the retire ring when it is no longer the recommended standard, and there is a clear plan to migrate away from it. This is arguably the hardest part of technology lifecycle management. It's easy to add things. It's painful to remove them. That old system is deeply embedded. People understand it. It mostly works. So why go through the pain of replacing it? Because keeping legacy technology is like paying a hidden tax on every new feature you build. It carries security vulnerabilities. It's hard to hire developers who want to work on it. It makes your entire system more complex and brittle. Proactively identifying candidates for the retire ring is a sign of a mature engineering culture. It means you're actively managing your technical debt, instead of letting it pile up until it crushes you. The process is simple. You identify a replacement from your adopt ring, you develop a migration plan, and you execute it feature by feature, customer by customer, until the old technology can finally be switched off. It's not glamorous work, but it is essential for long-term survival and agility. Assess, trial, adopt, retire. This simple 4-stage framework transforms technology selection from a chaotic, gut feel-driven process into a strategic, data-informed one. It empowers your team to innovate safely. It protects the business from costly distractions. It creates a common language for everyone, from the junior engineer to the CEO, to talk about technology choices. This isn't bureaucracy. This is the operating system for a high-performing tech startup. But having a process is one thing. How do you actually make the decisions about what moves from one ring to the next? Who gets a say? And how do you do it without grinding everything to a halt with endless meetings and committees? That's the challenge of governance, and it requires a delicate balancing act between speed and stability. So let's talk about that balancing act. For a startup, this is everything. On one side, you have total anarchy, the Wild West. Every developer is a lone gunslinger, choosing their own weapons, building their own saloons, and there are no sheriffs in town. This is maximum speed for a while. It's how most startups begin. But it leads to chaos. You end up with 5 different payment processing integrations because 3 different teams all solve the same problem in a vacuum. You have data silos that don't talk to each other. Your tech stack looks less like a stack and more like a pile of stuff that fell off a truck. The cost of this chaos, the tech debt, eventually grows so large that it grinds your velocity to a halt anyway. You're moving fast, but in a dozen different directions at once. On the other side of the canyon, you have the soul-crushing bureaucracy, the empire. Every decision, no matter how small, must go through a 15-step approval process, signed in triplicate by a council of elders who meet once a quarter. This is maximum stability. Nothing breaks because nothing changes. Nothing new ever gets built. This is where innovation goes to die. Startups that swing too hard in this direction lose the very agility that made them special. They become the slow, lumbering incumbents they once sought to disrupt. So how do you chart a course between the Scylla of chaos and the Charybdis of bureaucracy? You don't create a committee. You create a constitution. Think about it. The United States Constitution doesn't dictate every single law in every single town. That would be insane. Instead, it establishes a framework. It sets out the core principles, the Bill of Rights. It defines the branches of government and their powers. It creates a system for making and amending laws. It provides a structure within which people can operate with a great deal of freedom and autonomy, while still working towards a common goal. This is exactly what good IT governance looks like. It's not a set of rigid rules. It's a system for making good decisions. Let's call it lean governance. First, you need your Bill of Rights, your architectural principles. These are your non-negotiable truths. We talked about these earlier. They are simple, high-level statements that guide every decision. For example, we build on scalable, serverless technologies. Or, we prioritize user data security above all else. Or, we favor open-source solutions where possible. These aren't technical specs. They are value statements. When a team is faced with a choice, their first question should be, Which option best aligns with our principles? This immediately eliminates a huge number of bad choices without needing a single meeting. Second, you need your branches of government, a federated decision-making model. Not every decision is a federal case that needs to go to the Supreme Court. You have to empower your teams, your states, to make their own laws. A team working on a front-end component should have the authority to choose a new charting library for the assess ring of their tech radar, without needing approval from the chief architect. It's within their domain. It's their jurisdiction. The governance model should clearly define which decisions can be made at the team level, which need to be reviewed by a guild or a group of peers, and which are so foundational they need to be escalated. This concept is called decision rights. Who gets to decide what? Writing it down prevents turf wars and bottlenecks. Third, you need a legislative process. How do new ideas, new technologies, and new patterns get proposed, debated, and adopted? Forget the slow, formal review board meetings. The best American startups are adopting a model inspired by the very foundation of the internet, the RFC, or request for comments. Instead of scheduling a big meeting to debate an idea, an engineer or a team writes a short, clear document. It outlines the problem they're trying to solve, their proposed solution, the alternatives they considered, and how it aligns with the company's architectural principles. For example, RFC, adopt GraphQL for our new mobile API. The document would explain why REST is falling short, the benefits of GraphQL for mobile clients, the chosen libraries, and the potential risks. This document is then shared publicly within the engineering organization, in a Slack channel, a GitHub repository, or a Confluence page. This is the crucial part. The process is asynchronous and written. People can read it on their own time and leave comments. Other engineers can ask clarifying questions, point out potential flaws, or suggest improvements. Did you consider how this will affect our caching strategy? I used this at my last company, and we ran into this issue. The discussion is transparent, thoughtful, and documented for everyone to see. It surfaces objections and good ideas early, before a single line of code is written. It avoids the trap of the loudest person in the room winning the argument. The best idea, backed by the best reasoning, wins. Finally, you need your Supreme Court, but a modern, agile one. Let's not call it an architecture review board. That sounds slow and painful. Let's call it the Architecture Council, or the Tech Guild. This isn't a group of gatekeepers. They are facilitators. Their job isn't to approve every small change. Their job is to interpret the Constitution. This council should be a small group of respected, senior technical leaders from across the organization. They don't meet to review every RFC. They only get involved in a few key scenarios. 1. If there's a major disagreement on an RFC that can't be resolved through discussion. 2. If a proposal represents a significant change to the core architecture, like moving a technology to the adopt ring on the radar for everyone. Or 3. If a team needs guidance on how the principles apply to a tricky new situation. Their role is to be shepherds, not gatekeepers. They ask questions like, have we fully considered the security implications here? Or, does this decision align with our long-term goal of reducing operational costs? They provide the high-level perspective that individual teams, focused on their own roadmap, might miss. They ensure consistency and coherence across the entire system. But they should be a body of last resort, not the first step in the process. 90% of architectural decisions should be made and ratified without them ever needing to be in the room. Let's walk through a real-world example. A product team, let's call them Team Phoenix, is building a new real-time analytics feature. They realize their current Postgres database, which is in the adopt ring, isn't fast enough for the queries they need. They research alternatives and decide a time series database like Scalability, which is currently not on the radar at all, would be a perfect fit. Under the old chaotic model, they might just spin it up, tell no one, and create a new data silo. Under a heavy bureaucratic model, they'd have to file a request and wait 6 weeks for the review board to meet. But with our lean governance constitution, the process is different. The team lead for Phoenix writes a one-page RFC. Proposal: introduce TimescaleDB for the Project Phoenix Analytics Engine. It details the performance problem, why TimescaleDB is the right solution, how it builds on their existing Postgres knowledge, and proposes adding it to the trial ring of the Tech Radar. They post the RFC in the #EngineeringRFC Slack channel. The database administrator comments, asking about backup procedures. The head of infrastructure asks about the cost on AWS. Another engineer who used it before offers some advice on a tricky configuration setting. The discussion happens over 2 days. Team Phoenix updates the RFC with a section on backups and cost estimates. Because this introduces a major new technology to the trial ring, it automatically gets flagged for the Architecture Council. The council looks at the RFC and the discussion thread. They see the due diligence has been done. The trade-offs are clear. It aligns with their principle of using the right tool for the job. In their weekly 30-minute sync, they give it a thumbs up. The decision is made. It's documented. It's transparent. And the whole process took less than a week without a single long, boring meeting. That is the power of good governance. It doesn't slow you down. It provides guardrails that allow your teams to move faster, with more confidence and autonomy. It replaces politics and opinion with a system of principles and transparent debate. It's the operating system for your technology organization, creating the conditions for building great things at scale. But having the best constitution in the world is useless if the people don't believe in it. How do you actually roll this out? How do you lead this change and build a culture that embraces this way of working? That is the final and perhaps most important piece of the enterprise architecture puzzle. Let's talk about the human element. You can design the most elegant, scalable, technically perfect architecture in the world. You can map out every data flow, every API call, every microservice interaction with the precision of a Swiss watch. But if the people who have to build it, use it, and live with it every single day don't buy in, you've built nothing more than a very expensive, very pretty drawing. Your blueprint becomes a museum piece. This is the final boss battle of enterprise architecture. It's not a technology problem. It's a change management problem. It's a leadership problem. It's a human problem. And in the high-pressure, fast-moving world of an American startup, where culture is everything, getting this wrong is a fatal error. Why is this so hard? Because you're not just asking people to use a new tool. You're asking them to change their habits, their workflows, their very identity at work. The engineer who was the hero, the only one who knew how to wrangle the legacy monolith, might suddenly feel their expertise is being devalued. The product manager who could get features out the door by cutting corners now has to contend with new standards and reviews. You're introducing friction into a system that was optimized for short-term speed. Resistance isn't malice. It's a natural human response to uncertainty, a perceived loss of autonomy, and the fear of the unknown. So, how do you win this battle? You don't win it with authority. You don't win it by issuing mandates from on high. You win it with a campaign. You win it with persuasion, empathy, and a brilliant communication strategy. First, you must craft your why. And it can't be because the architects said so. Your why has to connect directly to the soul of your startup. It has to be framed in the language of your mission. We aren't doing this to create bureaucracy. We're doing this so we can scale to serve our next million users without the system crashing. We aren't adding rules to slow you down. We're building guardrails so you can ship code faster and with more confidence, without breaking everything else. We aren't standardizing technology to stifle creativity. We're creating a common toolbox so we can onboard new engineers in days, not months. You have to translate the abstract architectural goals into tangible benefits that every single person in the company can understand and get excited about. Next, you identify your champions. In every organization, there are the influencers, the people others look to for cues. They aren't always managers. They're often the senior engineer everyone respects, the product lead who always has their finger on the pulse, the DevOps guru who has seen it all. These are your early adopters. You bring them into the fold early. You create an architecture guild or a tiger team. You don't just present the plan to them. You ask them to help you build it. You give them ownership. You make them co-authors of the future. When the change is announced, it's not coming from a faceless architecture team. It's coming from their peers, from the people they trust and admire. These champions become your evangelists, translating the message in the trenches and fighting the small battles for you. Then, you execute a communication blitz. This is not a one-and-done email. It's a relentless multi-channel campaign. You talk about it at the all-hands meeting. You create a dedicated Slack channel for questions and answers. You run lunch and learn sessions. You build a simple, clear internal wiki that becomes the source of truth. You celebrate every small win. You are transparent about the challenges. When something doesn't go as planned, you own it, you explain what you learned, and you adapt. You over-communicate to the point where you feel like you're repeating yourself because that's the point where the message finally starts to sink in. But talk is cheap. The most powerful tool in your change management arsenal is proof. This brings us to the pilot program. Don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to change everything at once. That's a recipe for chaos and rebellion. Instead, you pick one thing, one project. Find the biggest, gnarliest, most painful part of your current system. Maybe it's the checkout process that's held together with duct tape and hope. Maybe it's the reporting engine that takes hours to run and frequently crashes. This is your target. You assemble a rockstar team, including some of your new champions, and you task them with rebuilding this one component using the new architectural principles. You give them air cover, you give them resources, and you protect them from the distractions of the day-to-day business. Their mission is to create a lighthouse project, a shining, undeniable example of the future. And when they succeed, you don't just move on. You turn that success into a legend. You quantify everything. The old checkout process had a 5% error rate and took the team 6 weeks to add a new payment method. The new service has a 0.1% error rate, and we just added Apple Pay in 3 days. You get testimonials from the engineers who worked on it. I was skeptical at first, but having clear patterns and automated testing meant I could focus on writing great code instead of fighting fires. You present this case study at the all hands. You shout it from the rooftops. What you're doing is creating social proof. You're changing the conversation from a theoretical debate into a tangible reality. The other teams will see this. They'll see the team that got to work on the cool new tech, the team that's getting all the praise, the team that isn't getting paged at 3 a.m. anymore. They will get jealous. And that jealousy creates a pull. Instead of you pushing the change onto them, they will start coming to you asking, "How can my project be next?" That is the tipping point. Now, with momentum on your side, you have to weave this new way of working into the very DNA of your startup. A successful pilot is great, but you need to make it the new normal. This is where you institutionalize the change. You start by aligning incentives. What gets rewarded gets done. If you're still only rewarding raw speed and features shipped, people will continue to cut corners. Start celebrating and rewarding the teams that build reusable components, that write excellent documentation, that mentor other engineers on the new patterns. Make architectural excellence a key criterion for promotions and bonuses. Then you make the right way the easy way. Invest in your developer experience. Build templates, scripts, and CI/CD pipelines that automate the creation of new services that adhere to your architectural standards. If an engineer can spin up a new, compliant, fully monitored microservice with a single command line entry, why would they ever do it the hard way? You're not building gates. You're paving a superhighway. You're using tooling to gently guide everyone toward the desired outcome. Finally, you redefine governance. The old model of an architecture review board, as a group of gatekeepers who say no, is dead. In a startup, that's a death sentence. Your architecture function must operate as an enabling team, as internal consultants. Their job is to help teams go faster by solving the hard problems for them. They provide patterns, best practices, and expert advice. They pair with teams to help them design better solutions. The formal review process should be lightweight, collaborative, and focused on education, not enforcement. The goal isn't to be the architecture police. It's to be the architecture pit crew, helping every team perform at its absolute best. So let's bring it all home. We started this journey in the chaotic, thrilling, and terrifying world of a startup running on pure adrenaline. We recognized that the very things that made us successful early on, the speed, the hacks, the just get it done mentality, would eventually become the anchors that would drag us down. We learned that enterprise architecture isn't about creating rigid, bureaucratic binders full of diagrams. For a startup, it's a dynamic living practice. It's about deeply understanding your business strategy first. It's about making conscious, deliberate choices about your technology, your data, and your security posture. It's about choosing the right tools for the job, not just the trendiest ones. It's about designing for scale, for resilience, and for the future you want to build. And as we've just seen, it's about bringing your people on that journey with you. It's about leadership, communication, and building a culture that values not just shipping features, but shipping them with quality and foresight. This is the blueprint. This is how you evolve from a product that works into an enterprise that lasts. It's the conscious transition from building a house of cards to building a skyscraper. It's not easy. It requires discipline, vision, and a relentless commitment to excellence. But this is the work that separates the startups that become cautionary tales from the ones that become legends. The choice is yours. Stop just building a product. Start building an enterprise.